Then we have these game-based activities. Now there are 12 games, and they used to have 16, so they took some of them out. Hopefully they'll bring those guys back. But these 12 games are very popular, very constantly used. Some of the most popular ones are the Super Sort, where you can split your class into 2 teams, and maybe they could be the Blue Pirates and the Black Pirates, and each of them get a chance to answer questions. They get it right, they shoot a cannonball into the other, team's pirate ship. Good stuff. And then you've got a team quiz. A lot of young folks like that. I do find a lot of these activities quite juvenile, but you can make them, for your higher order thinking adult learners. We have this game show. I do like that one. And this little icon that you see in the upper corner here, it looks like a cap for a cap and gown. If you click on it, it'll show you a video of how the game actually works. You spin the wheel, and suddenly it's kind of like Millionaire, where you move up the ranks to get the question correct. And then your score is tallied immediately, and you find out who wins. But you'd have to separate your class into 2 teams. But anyhow, that's what those little caps and gowns do. They just give you a video, and it's a good thing to watch yours if you're just a beginner with Lumio. All right, so that's that. Now, if I scroll up just a little bit more, there's more stuff that's already made for you. You can do any of these activating prior knowledge activities like the shouted outs. What do you know? What do you want to know? What have you learned? And what questions do you have? You can have 4 columns and they can type, and that's a shouted out activity. And then we've got the response. Is the statement true or false? Handouts. All things that are sort of pre-made, but you can tweak them to go with your specific content. We've got questioning and reflecting options that you can have at the end of a lesson. There's manipulatives and graphic organizers that you can use. Now, within Lumio, one thing that makes it a little bit of a fall short app compared with Smart Notebook is there's not as much animation that you can pull into it immediately at this point. In Smart Notebook, I've got timers that I can put into the class and say you've got 10 minutes to do this problem. The timer ticks all the way down to 0. When it's down to 0, we go over it, whether, hopefully that 10 minutes was enough. If it wasn't, it just wasn't. We've got spinners for probability. We've got dice that roll for probability and statistics. Don't have that many here yet, but, with enough complaints, they're going to do what we want as people. So I'm going to come over here and I am going to add a game show. I'm going to select this activity and I'm going to make it true or false. 25 times 14 times 5 is 25. Now, if I wanted more than one question, I could add that. 5 times 5 is 25. And then once I've added my question, I can just say next. I can randomize the question order for the students as they see it. So that when they look, the next neighbor might look at it and get a different first question. And I'm done. And then when we get ready to play this game, it will look like this. We spin the wheel. Click power up to find out what you got. If we win, ooh, it's worth double. It's true or false. Say that. I got 200 points. Continue. Now the other team gets to spin. Now if I only had one question, the other team would also get the same question. 5 times 5 is 25. Is true. Correct. Continue. Now there's only 2 questions. Again, it was good. The first team won because they had more questions. I won. All right, so that's all there is to that. Now let's add a, let's just add a blank page. Because here I want to show you the remaining things along the top here. So we talked about the A, and this little arrow here allows you to move whatever you have on the screen. I will tell you that you can lock things in place so that when you allow your students to look at things, they won't be able to click on them, move them around, and delete them. If you wanted to create a worksheet, let me come over here and maybe I can import one. I'll import a resource from my library, from the library of libraries. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to get this growth mindset piece that I pulled down. Because sometimes looking at the resources, you can find some really nice things. I downloaded this growth mindset thing, but the only thing I liked was the slider that they had at the end, so I can add it. And this allows me to ask them, hey, how you feeling about the lesson? Is your head hurting? You don't know anything? You kind of know something, but you still got questions, or you're a graduate. You are a master. How's your brain feeling? And right here, this little person that looks like they're talking, kind of looks like Charlie Brown turned to the right, you can actually record audio. So allow microphone access, just allow it, and then you can record. Click on start, it'll give you a countdown. Hi class, on this screen, I want you to move the slider to indicate how you are feeling about what you learned today. Is your head hurting and you still don't know anything? You have some questions, but you kind of learned a little, but you're still a little confused? Or are you a master? You've graduated. You know how to do this concept. Let me know by sliding the slider underneath the right area, right along the bottom. Great work. And now when this page is played, there's this little head in the corner that they can click on to have, direction in terms of what it is I want them to do on that particular page. Now, say that I created something amazing here, like problem to solve. Maybe I put 25 divided by 5 is what? And I want my students to figure it out. And I want them to show me some work here. So I can come over here to this little magic wand, and I can choose to do one or two things. Right now, I could choose to make this an individual handout. Now, an individual handout is kind of like what you would individually hand out yourself if you copied a worksheet on the copier and handed it out to the students, except this is digital. And they can hold it in the palm of their hands, in their phone, on their, laptop, and do the work. Or this could be a collaborative workspace, which I just clicked on accidentally, but I could make this a collaborative workspace, and then the whole class could see it at the same time and they could work on it and write on it. All right, so that's all of these wonderful things that Lumio has to offer you, and you can play with it and make it a little bit more. Up here at the top, I've got this untitled. I'm going to call this sample lesson. No, I'm not. That's Maple. Sample lesson. Lesion. Okay. In Lumio. And click Finish Editing. And now this is a part of my library. And that's that. Movie that appears to be the never-ending story. I want to show you what that lesson